the superheroes, Marvel, like all of those characters they talk about in Dragon Ball Z, the Super Saiyans, like they're talking about you. They're talking about tapping into your magic and activating your dormant DNA. Like Dragon Ball Z was pretty much teaching us how to activate our 7 chakras, like activating the 7 Dragon Balls, which is your energy centers, in order to awaken the dragon, which is the kundalini energy. And once you are able to activate all of your 7 chakras, which are the 7 Dragon Balls, then you can make that wish, any wish that you want. Peace family, Conjure Queen here, and in this segment we are going to be talking about activating the God DNA, talking about the children of the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, the fallen angels, the truth about dark magic, white magic, and also how to utilize these occult secrets and powers to break the spell of the Matrix. Me and one of my friends was having an interesting conversation, and he shared his idea that those who are the chosen ones, those who have the special rare bloodline, those who are known to come from the heavens, those who are the children of the Anunnaki. He says that we're not really supposed to be intermingling and having children with people who are like us, but we're actually supposed to be mating with people who are mortals. And I thought this was really interesting because when you look at sacred texts, they talk a lot in mythology about how the gods came down and mated with women. They talk about this in the book of Enoch, which actually got removed from the Bible because they didn't want the children of the stars to know who they really were. So the church started to spin lies around the Nephilim being evil, talking about they come from, the seeds of Satan and all of this stuff. But we got to realize that there was a intentional campaign to wipe out the shamans, to wipe out the healers, to wipe out the witches, the sorcerers, the root workers, the medicine men, medicine women, like the ones who knew the ancient occult secrets. But then he broke it down for me. He said, well, you got to think about it, right? He says, if we are supposedly the chosen ones who came here to evolve the planet and to also help the human race to evolve, he says, how else can we do that than by giving them our blood? And how can we give them our blood? By producing their seed, or by giving them the seed to produce our offspring. But then again, it's also interesting because I had got downloads before, and other people also told me they got similar downloads that told them some people are not able to procreate with humans because they're supposed to be mated with another god or a goddess. Like that's just how it's designed. But the thing is, when you have children or offsprings, it ties you to this realm because now you have descendants here. You have your bloodline that's still here in this plane, which traps you and your consciousness and an aspect of you here in the material realm. And so some people may say the only real way to escape out of this Maya or matrix is to not have any offsprings at all, so that way you don't have to come back. For those who are actually just hearing this information for the first time, I know that this can sound really crazy. I know that this sounds like totally bizarre, out of a fantasy movie. But the truth of the matter is, they've been telling us the truth and hiding it in movies, hiding it in cartoons, hiding it in anime and comic books. Like the superheroes, Marvel, like all of those characters they talk about in Dragon Ball Z, the Super Saiyans, like they're talking about you. They're talking about tapping into your magic and activating your dormant DNA. Like Dragon Ball Z was pretty much teaching us how to activate our 7 chakras, like activating the 7 Dragon Balls, which is your energy centers, in order to awaken the dragon, which is the kundalini energy. And once you are able to activate all of your 7 chakras, which are the 7 Dragon Balls, then you can make that wish, any wish that you want. Okay, so we got to realize that some of us do come from certain planetary bloodlines. Some of us do have the DNA of the gods, and that is why we are able to do certain things that most human beings cannot do. This is why we have more access to certain parts of our brain that other people do not. This is why some of us have psychic abilities. This is why some of us have certain spiritual gifts that most people do not have, that science cannot explain. And they tell us that, we only use like 10% of our brain, they say, but that's not true. There's ways to activate all of your brain. They've been trying to dumb you down since you was a kid. This is why a lot of children who have special abilities and special gifts, and they demonstrate them when they're younger, the school system tries to dumb them down. Like, remember, they were trying to give children medicine and saying that these children had ADHD. They cannot concentrate. They can't sit still. They do multiple things at once and can't finish one thing. The truth of the matter is, people who tend to have like ADHD are borderline geniuses. They just don't know how to train their brain properly. It's not that you're supposed to be taking a medicine to dumb your brain down, and that's what they did. They forced a lot of parents and scared a lot of young parents into giving their children Ritalin and all of these other medications that shut down their psychic centers. And that's why a lot of children that were going through these psychic abilities, when their psychic centers were shut down, what happened was they went into a depression. This is why we have a lot of depressed adults now, because the gifts that you have, they turned it off. Now there's ways to turn it back on, and there's ways to awaken these psychic centers. And I will definitely recommend taking your spiritual elixirs. Now listen, there are nootropics. A lot of people don't know about this, but this is what you need to really get your brain focused. This is what you need to really get your psychic powers going. Some of y'all probably know that movie called Limitless, okay, where the guy takes the pill and he's able to do all of these amazing things because his brain is like fully activated. Yeah, there's actually stuff like that works. In different parts of the world, in different cultures, in different sacred texts, they talk about how gods had came down, in a physical body in order to mate with women, the daughters of earth, and the gods from the heavens, right? The demigods. And supposedly these demigods that came from the babies, right? When these mortal women mated with these angels or these gods from the heavens, the Anunnaki, they formed Nephilim. And these are talked about once again in the book of Enoch. You can read this yourself. I'm not making this stuff up, okay? Now, they say that these children, God, okay, well, we don't know what God they're talking about. God pretty much like killed them off, like created a flood to wash the earth of these demigods that were taboo, because supposedly the angels were not supposed to mate with the women. Now the women, you got to think about it. Who are these women that these gods mated with? And how were these women able to have these babies? So legend has it that the witches and magical people of today, and when I use the term witch, I know that there's this conspiracy in the spiritual community. They say that witch is not supposed to be identified with a melanated person, but I disagree. I think that witch is just a form of a word to describe a magical person. I can call a magical person a Iyami, which means the witches in Ifa. I can call them a bruja, which is more so the Spanish term for witch, which is a magical person. I can call them a bushman, a medicine woman, and healer, okay, a conjurer, a cunning woman. There's different names to it, but basically what it comes down to is that you have a certain power or gift that most people do not have. You have the ability to manipulate matter and to communicate with the elements. You have the ability to bend the elements in your favor. You can harness, that's what magic is. Like, magic is really just bending the elements, okay, bending this matrix and learning how to utilize the algorithms and the synchronicities in this universe, or this 3D reality to work in your favor. Okay, that's what magic really is. And so you got to ask yourself, we hear about these stories about how the gods taught humans about sex and magic and everything that we know, agriculture, medicine, and healing. We even hear ancestors talk about the star people taught them. Now, I know that this might blow your mind, but you know how they were saying in all of these ancient scriptures that, the gods would come back, right? Even in a really good book I recommend you guys read is The Emerald Tablets by Thoth or Jehudi. You can find the free audiobook on YouTube. They also have the free PDF online. And it talks about the day where the earth wakes up, where the pyramids activate again, where the old gods come back. Because remember, they talk about how once upon a time, the gods and the humans used to cohabitate and live together and walk side by side. But then something happened where the gods left. And they told them that we would come back for you, right? And that's why they instructed the humans on how to build certain monuments, so that way the later generations won't forget who we are, because they knew that a lot of things would transpire that would do everything in their power to stamp out our accomplishments, to stamp out our history, to stamp out our culture, to pretty much like erase everything and then fill in the history books with lies, okay? But what's happening now is that The information is in our DNA. This is why I'm telling you to take your spiritual elixirs, to take your nootropics, to activate your dormant DNA. Because what's happening now is that, imagine that, remember I told you that the world is run by sorcerers and magicians, right? They put a spell to keep you asleep. You got to realize that the world is made up of sorcerers and magicians. Like your governments is run by magicians. Okay, they know magic, they know the occult, and they've been using it to keep you enslaved. The witch wars, the witch hunts were really just other magicians that were trying to keep the power for themselves. That's why they called it the Crusades, or God told them to kill these people and share this religion, because they didn't want you to have access to the real power. So they gave you a false religion, or they took bits and pieces from the Gnostic texts, okay? Because Christianity really just comes from the Gnostic scriptures, and I would highly recommend you read the Gnostic scriptures to understand where all of this stuff comes from. They just took out the truths and they put in lies. If you want to really know about magic, study the Gnostic texts, study the Gnostic scriptures, and it will open your mind, okay? And remember, like I said, study all of the spiritual occult books, okay? Because religion, there's the exoteric and the esoteric. The exoteric is the religion that they sell you, okay? That's the religion that keeps you entrapped and enslaved and dependent on somebody else to save you. The esoteric was the original, which taught you how to tap into your godlike consciousness so that you can reach into nirvana or reach into the heavens yourself. It taught you how to talk to the dead. It taught you how to communicate with the other world. It taught you all about the spiritual elements and how to elevate yourself out of this physical reality. And if you're still thinking that your government is not magicians, okay, let me explain to you how magic works. You understand that spells is spelling, and that a lot of the spells are hidden in contracts and words, and that's how they cast the spell upon you, because you're unaware, okay? They play on your ignorance. Let me break it down for you. Government, the word government, what it really means, it govern actually comes from the root word, it comes from Greek, the Greek word kubernon. Now, my Greek is not the best, so maybe my pronunciation may not be perfect, but it comes from the Greek word kubernon, okay? And kubernon means to steer. Okay, govern means to steer. Ment means mind or mentality. They are put in place, the government is put in place to steer your minds. To steer it where? Where is the government doing? Is it trying to govern, to control your mind, to steer your mind away from something else? This is why the governments are put in place. It's not really the governments that are in control, but you got to ask yourself, who is the ones that's in control of the governments that want to keep you in check? Okay, because now we're not even dealing with, they talk about we're not even dealing with flesh and bones. Like, this is not even a battle of the flesh. Like, this is really spiritual. Okay, you have other entities that are hijacking certain leaders here in this realm, because remember, certain entities can't be here unless they have a physical vessel. You need an avatar in order to be on this plane of 3D. So to get back to the point about the demigods or gods mating with mortals, right? People who may not necessarily have certain DNA or abilities that you have. Some people like to call them sheeple. I don't really like to call them that because it sounds a little bit, I don't know, derogatory. I think everybody wakes up at their own time, and who am I to judge a person because they're in a certain place in their life journey right now, right? So my thing is this. When they talk about in ancient scriptures about how the gods would come back, they were talking about you. Revelations was talking about you. When the gods come back, that's when ish gets real, okay? When they talk about the world ending, whose world is ending? The old world is ending. Their paradigm shift is ending. These old governments is ending. Control is ending. Because now what's happening is that these false leaders are falling, and we're seeing a lot of people getting exposed. Pay attention, because they're not going to put this on their news. Remember, they control the news. So that's why the truth speakers, is up to us to spread this knowledge and information on the internet, right? They said that the revolution will not be televised. No, it's digitalized now. And if you really want to get these downloads, you got to get those nootropics so you can turn your DNA on, so you can get these channels and downloads. You are the gods that they've been talking about. You are the gods that they said will come back. You are the ones who are supposed to destroy this fake reality. You are the ones who are supposed to wake up the people. And you're not going to wake up the people by trying to force them to wake up. Because think about it. How does it feel when religious people tell you, like, you shouldn't be practicing this pagan stuff? You should save yourself and go to Jesus, or you should save yourself and convert to Islam, or you have these religious people trying to tell you what you should do with your life. Now imagine how you look telling somebody how they need to live, how they need to eat, right? Telling somebody, oh, don't eat that chicken, you're supposed to be vegan. Or you're supposed to keep your head covered, you're supposed to keep your crown protected, you're not spiritual if you smoke, you're not spiritual if you curse, you're not spiritual if you do this. Like, we got so many people out here that still got that religious church mentality, and you need to detox that mentality. It's like you're still holding on to your humanity. That's what the human sacrifice was all about. That's what they was talking about. Like, you have to sacrifice your human self in order to become a god. When you step into this godlike realm, like all of y'all people claim like, oh, I'm a god, I'm a goddess, but you still out here operating from a human perspective. Like, you still believing in this human constructed moral system. What if I told you the reason that they've been conditioning us to fear magic, to think that magic is not even real? Like, there was a systematic programming put in place for a very long time to eradicate the spiritual aspect from science, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember back in school, they was talking to us about like the great golden period or the great enlightenment period, where, all of the philosophers of Europe and stuff was coming up with, all of these scientific principles and these new laws, and physics was coming about, and everybody pretty much had all of these thoughts and stuff. But what they was doing was they was casting aside spirituality. They made it seem as though they were liberating themselves from the church, right? Because they told us that once upon a time the church was in control and overpowered. They even overpowered the government, right? And so they made it seem as though, well, let's make things better. We're going to push the church out, and then we're going to have these governments actually control everything, and people thought that was better. But what if I told you that the churches never actually stopped controlling shit? Or what if I told you that the Vatican actually has a whole bunch of sacred monuments and books that they stole from Alexandria, which is in Kemet, okay? And they put it in their libraries, and they have all of that stuff hidden underground, and soon, within our lifetime, that information is going to be uncovered and digged up, and that information is going to have to be released to the public. And what they actually did was so sick and devious, because what they did was they went up in those ancient pyramids, okay, the temples, the libraries, and this is not just in ancient Kemet, because they have found older pyramids, okay, sarcophagus that are older in America, okay, older mounds, older pyramids, older stuff that's way down in the Grand Canyon, underground, underwater, here in the Americas, that predate the ones in Egypt, that predate the ones in Africa. What is that telling you? Okay, why didn't the American government settle over there in Africa if that's where all of the power and the original energy started at, right? They brought their energy here and capitalized here in the Americas, because they know that there's a lot of powerful ley lines here. And if you guys don't know about ley lines, please look up ley lines. This is why I talk a lot about ley lines and the power of the planet, and certain ley lines have energies, okay, portals. I talk about this in my astrocartography readings, where certain places in the world you actually will be more successful. Certain places in the world life may be more harder. You may struggle to find relationships or money or health issues and stuff like that. Like, that's why spiritual people, mystics and stuff, were known to be travelers. Like, we utilize our ancient knowledge, put them into tarot cards or playing cards, and we traveled the world teaching people these ancient sciences under games. So pretty much what they did was they dug up all of the knowledge and information in these sacred temples. They killed off the shamans and the healers and the original teachers, and they tried to claim the information for themselves. That's what the whole Great Enlightenment period was really about. They were trying to take that science and capitalize off of it and say, you know what, how can we utilize this religion thing? How can we take these spiritual powers and these sciences that these great civilizations used to last for generations to come, dynasties? How can we utilize this to control the people? How can we replicate this? Because they weren't utilizing this information to enlighten the people or to evolve Earth, but they wanted to devolve the human population. They wanted to utilize this technology and information for themselves. And I'm telling you right now, within our lifetime, we are going to see technology come out that we've never would have imagined before. You got to think about it. How is it that we have phones and everything else that's advancing, but people are still out here driving using fucking fossil fuel? Make it make sense. This is the same technology that they used when they first started cars. How is that? And then the one person who actually created a way for cars to run on water, they kill him? Like, you guys got to understand, like, people, technology, the medicine, everything is going to change. I want you to know that, like, because these false leaders are falling, because the people are waking up, because the God DNA is activating, like, they're not going to be able to hide this anymore. Cures are going to be coming up out of nowhere. Pay attention, because now they're going to start talking about they got a cure for this and a cure for that. You got to also be very careful of donating your blood, okay? There are certain people who have very unique blood here, okay? Blood of the originals, blood of the gods, like we spoke about earlier in this video. And so, guys, I want you to research a woman named Henrietta Lacks, okay? The reason why I want you to look her up is because she actually had a very rare blood type or genome. And the doctors realized this, and so they pretty much stole her genetic makeup and made a vaccine or a cure out of it, right, to cure illnesses and things like that. And mind you, they capitalized over her blood type. Now, a lot of you probably have certain genes and abilities to cure sicknesses with just in your blood. And that's why they may tell you, oh, hey, we need you to come back in and give us more blood. Or, you know, hey, listen, can you come in and give us blood? Like, think about it. How is it that in a forensic science scene, right, like all they need is one drop of blood to identify what time the crime happened, who did it, why they did it, all this other stuff, one drop. But when you go to the doctor, they need a whole pint of blood just to run one test. How is that? Make it make sense. Do they have a freaking vampire in the basement? Are they taking your blood and selling it to somebody, cloning you? Like, we don't know what they doing. We don't know if you wouldn't even know if they took your blood and made a vaccine or a cure or anything with it, because they know who you are and they need to utilize your DNA to make these medicines. The information is in the DNA. This is why they stress so much when you're born to get you jabbed up, because they know prophecy has been told that the gods will come back, okay? They said it. They was like, okay, you can kill us off, but guess what? We're just going to return. We're going to come back. You can have your little time, your little fun, trying to control the world and, you know, do what you do, but best to believe when we come back, it's game time, okay? Game is over for you. And the real gods, the real beings, the real children of the gods are coming back to change shit here on the planet. Because let's be real, okay? Things have not been going well since they've been in control, and we all know that, right? So what if I told you that there's actually a world or reality where there is not sickness, there is no war, there is none of this pestilence and stuff? Like, we're not really supposed to live like this. But because we've been doing this for so many years, like, living differently from that is going to take a lot of people to adjust to that. Okay, some people are used to toxicity. Some people are addicted to drama. Some people are addicted to all of this, like, chaos. But the truth of the matter is, my eye is coming through to bring harmony and justice at this time. And like I said before, the meek shall inherit the earth. Those who are last will be first. Those who are first is going to be last. Like, everything is literally being flipped upside down. Like burning a freaking reversible candle in this bitch. That's why I always say, if you really want to learn how to channel, how to tap into this godlike consciousness, you have to first turn on. You got to turn online, okay? That's why they tried to keep a lot of people offline, disconnected from their guides, from their true self, from their DNA. They wanted to keep you asleep. But now what's happening is that spell that they put on the earth to kind of keep our powers dormant, is like the spell has broken. That veil or that dome that they put over us to shield our planet from being hit by certain cosmic rays of consciousness, is like certain rays and information hitting the planet right now. And a lot of people have been admitting seeing two suns, okay, seeing strange things in the skies. Like I said again, the veil to keep you from seeing above the horizon of the earth is being lifted. Best to believe, if you want to tap into this energy, you have to activate the DNA inside of you, the God inside of you. This is why the ancients have put symbols on the walls, because they knew that just by seeing a symbol, it can activate something in the subconscious mind that will wake up something in a past life. It will make you remember, like, oh shit, this is who I am. This is why I use my platform to educate people how to tap into magic, how to learn about the occult sciences, how to tap into the source energy. When I talk about magic, when I talk about black magic, right, I want to explain something to you. They have taught you that black magic is bad and white magic is good. Now, let me explain something to you before I go. I'm going to drop you with this gem, right? They say that God or Jesus is the light. God is the only way. Go into the light, right? Like God is the source of light. But then when you read the Bible and certain scriptures, they say that God said, let there be light. So before light came, what was there? Darkness, right? Light came out of darkness, right? So in essence, you can't say that God is light, because that would mean that God is a physical thing. He's trapped in this matrix. They even say in the Kabbalah that God doesn't even have a name. Once you give God a name, it solidifies him and it puts him into this physical reality, when God or spirit is actually outside of this reality, or is everything in this reality. So this God that they're worshiping, as known as the light, is really a false God. And actually the light is talking about illusion. Remember, in order to cause an illusion, you have to bend light to make things look differently. So in essence, they're using white magic to keep you asleep, to make things seem one way and they're not. Like they got you in this illusion, this dreamlike world, worshiping the light, worshiping the illusion. What is light, right? When we look at the pyramid and we shine light through a pyramid, it shows the spectrum of light, right? The rainbow. The rainbow is actually talking about trapping you, like the pyramid being a trap of light. So that pyramid is really symbolic of the physical body, the light consciousness, or God being trapped in this physical vessel, or this light, this illusory world, operating in this 3D in this avatar. But tapping into black magic is actually tapping into the true God or true source, because the true God is absence of light. Okay, light is only a reflection of the darkness, to be honest. Okay, and then you got to think about it as well. Like if they're talking about light, like God is represented by the light, or Jesus Christ is the light, God is not supposed to be measured, right? Like if you look at science, if you look at physics, like a photon is pretty much can be measured. It's like the aspect of light, right? But how can you measure darkness? You can't. You can't. They can't even understand the black hole, but they can measure the speed of light. So God can't be light because it can be measured. So in essence, they really tricked everybody into thinking that the light magic is the good, where the dark magic is the bad. But it's actually reversed. Because if you tap into the dark magic, which is the source magic, which is dealing with the typhoons, okay, the Typhonian magic, okay, the ancient ones, the gods of the gods. When they talk about in Greek mythology about how Zeus overthrew Kronos, his father, and stuff like that, the Titans, like they were talking about the original primordial beings, okay? The primordial beings are the ones who gave birth to the gods, and the gods are the ones who betrayed the originals, and they wanted to run this shit for themselves. These are the false gods, the false leaders. They called themselves gods, okay? Shit gets real, you guys. And now I'm telling you, when they said that the real gods would come back, they was talking about the souls and the beings that come from the primordial abyss, the fallen angels, okay? There's nothing evil about it. You guys have to, you guys gotta detox the mind and reprogram your mind to only accept truth, because everything they told us is a lie. Okay, everything is reversed, everything is backwards. I know it's hard for the brain to accept, because when the brain receives information that contradicts what it's built its life upon, it starts to attack itself. It starts to go through depression. It goes through this anger where it wants to attack something. So you want to attack me because something is breaking your reality. And so they know that the only way to overthrow them is to tap into the original source magic to extinguish their false light. So, family, let me know what you think. I know that we covered a lot in this video, so share your thoughts, drop it in the comment section. Also, be sure to share this with a friend. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so that you will always be notified of new videos. Peace, family. Thank you for watching. Conjure Queen signing out. Peace.